Well, good morning. We are aboard sailing vessel No Worries on our passage from Cape Verde to Barbados. It is January the 4th, about 5 o'clock in the morning. About an hour ago, I started my night watch until 8 o'clock in the morning. And we are cruising along. This is our, I think, 7th day into the passage. We have another, I think, 9 days to go, 9 days to go. And with that, it is probably the longest passage that we've done so far. If I remember well, from southeast Spain to Gibraltar was a day and a night passage. Then from Gibraltar to the Canary Islands was about 6 days. And from the Canaries to Cape Verde was 7 days. So now we're breaking our record with the 7th day. We are doing very well. When we started this passage, we had bets amongst the crew how long it would take us, and it ranged from 13 days to 16 days. We'll see when we arrive who will win the bet. But then the skipper and I had on a one-on-one bet. His bet was 13 days or less, mine was 14 days or more. And the bet was our honor, and whoever loses pays the other one the first glass of rum when we arrive in Barbados. It seems like I'm gonna win my bet. I had a chat with the skipper yesterday, or this morning rather, and he said that probably as of last night he lost his bet, because although we were sailing as fast as we could, it looked like the first couple of days we did not go exactly as fast as we wanted to. We're also not really racing. We always try to keep a good angle and a good compromise between the sail plan, the direction we need to go, the prevailing winds, etc., and keeping everything as safe as possible. At this moment, we have anything between. Let me see if I can show you the history. On this display, we have a display over the past 60 minutes. On the left we have the past 60 minutes of a true wind direction, and on the right we have the history of the true wind speed. So wind speed is pretty stable, varying a little bit between 12 knots and 20 knots. Wind direction is overall pretty stable, more or less, around 70 degrees through wind direction, but varying a little bit left and right, as is normal. During the night, there's more variation in the wind direction during the night than during the day. We're at a true wind angle of 150 and cruising along between 5.5 and 6 knots. So it's a very steady course. We looked at every day we look at the weather predictions. So via the satellite link that we have, we download the weather forecast which we use mainly to look at wind speeds and wind directions, stability of the wind. As the further north you go, the more unstable the wind is. Not that we would get storms or squalls, but rather have less wind. And that's not what we want. We want to sail, we don't want to motor. Just a second. There was something that banged here. Let me just have a look at the sails. Just a second. That looks all okay. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. So we try to go a little bit south. As you can see in our course, we've been going south. Well, not really south, but southerly for quite a long ways. So it's more west, southwest. And I think right now we're at 14 degrees and 30 minutes, and it's probably as far south as we need to go to have a continuous stable wind and a good strong wind all the way up to Barbados. Up to now we've been mainly sailing on the wind vane, which means that the boat or the autopilot of the boat automatically adjusts his steering dependent on the wind angle. So even if the wind changes, the autopilot will automatically adjust the heading. We are now, as we normally do, we continue to run on autopilot. We call him Bob. So our Bob is actually manages the helm much better than we do, manually steering, especially as it is a moonless dark night. As you see here, there's nothing you can see. It's more difficult to manually helm. It's possible, but it's not only is it tiring, but also it's difficult to keep your bearings. The only thing that we can have on a moonless night as a reference are the stars. You can't see them on video. I see Sirius right in front of me. I have the Polar Star on my right. But even so, it's difficult, and most of the time we sail with. Let me see if I put a red light on. Not that one, but that one. There we go. So normally we sail with this bimini completely out, so it covers us, so we don't see the sky. But as last night and tonight, the sky was so clear. We wanted to enjoy more, also looking at the stars while we're sailing. It also gives us a little bit further tune with nature, and it's also easier to see the sails. As I mentioned before, during night we run on in dark mode, meaning there's no light on the boat except red lights. We have a little bit of a backlight here from our stern light here in the back that reflects on the bottom of the dinghy, which is strapped behind on the stanchions on the back of the boat. We run no lights, and if there's any light, it's a red light. I just switch on my head torch light. We all have head torches, so when we run around, we put the red light on, and then we can switch to white light, which normally we don't do because it makes you night blind for a couple of minutes. But we can switch to white light if we need to look at the sails or need to inspect something, or if we do sail changes, which normally we try to avoid during the night. and these head torches are quite strong, so we have different strength, so we can look all the way up to the top of the mast to see what's going on. We can see all the way up to almost the bow of the boat. Let me switch this back off and go back onto red light. So nice, clear, starry night. Last evening we had the first bit of the first quarter of the moon. We've been running on a new moon for a couple of days, so no moon whatsoever. But yesterday evening around sunset, the moon was also setting, and we saw a nice first bit of the first quarter. And the sky was so bright, or so clear rather, not bright. It was so clear. You could see the unshaded part of the moon very clearly as a dark haze next to the first bit of the first quarter. Everything is all right on board. As for any passage, the first couple of days it takes us a little bit of time to get in tune. Particularly, I think for this passage, it took us a little bit longer. Two of the crew were not feeling very well. I think they were tired. They were kind of sick, not seasick, but maybe slightly exhausted, lack of sleep, or getting used to, being on passage again. So it always takes us a couple of days. This time it took us a little bit longer, but then yesterday we saw the smiles coming back, the jokes coming back, and people spending more time together on deck, and it's nice to see that happy feeling again. As Bernd, a friend of mine who also sails, says, "Happy crew, happy boat." And right now this boat is very happy. She's very sturdy, she's very stable, but that we knew already. I think in the whole passage that we had all the way since we started the 4th of November, there hasn't been one case where water splashed over our deck or splashed in from our transom, from the back of the boat. Although we had some pretty rough passages or rough nights or rough days, but even so, I don't think our deck ever got wet except from the humidity during the night. The temperature nicely picked up since we left the Cape Verde. I think since Cape Verde, these were the first nights where we sailed in t-shirt and shorts. We could also see the water temperature gradually climbing up, where the water temperature now is 26.9 degrees. And I think we started at a water temperature of about 20 degrees back in Spain. So we're getting ready to have our swimming pants on when we arrive in Barbados. We're going to jump into the water and have a glass of rum while swimming in the water. We have still some ways to go. Although this is now our 6th or 7th day in the passage. We still have some ways to go. Let me see here. We have 1,259 nautical miles to go, which is roughly about 2,000 kilometers. I think we're supposed to arrive. I forgot. I think it was the 10th or something of January. No, that's not possible. 10th or 11th. I would have to look. We calculated the estimated day and time of arrival. I think we should arrive somewhere in an afternoon. And for the rest, everything okay on the worries. Nicely cruising along. Nice steady wind in the trade winds. At this moment the boat doesn't move much. We have a good angle on the wind waves. But from time to time there is a freak wave that hits us from the stern quarter and has the boat swing a little bit. So it's always we always have to be careful that in the galley we secure everything. Yesterday I was preparing coffee, although I'm always very careful in preparing coffee. But the moka pot tilted over. Well, the moka pot didn't tilt over. There was such a freak swell that came in that the coffee spilled from the moka pot over my hand and the a part of the galley. So after an effort of 10 minutes to prepare coffee, I had like 2 milliliters of coffee left. All the rest was in the galley. So I was rather upset that I lost my coffee. Rather than it spilled over my hand. Luckily I had a towel around my hand because the coffee pot was hot. Anyways, as people would say, if that is the only worry you have, then you're fine. So no worries. From sailing vessel, no worries. In the middle of the Atlantic, on our way to Barbados. We're going to Barbados. I wish. Oh, and there goes my coffee pot. Luckily I have a coffee pot that is closed. There goes my lovely coffee pot. So even when it spills over when it kicks over in the cockpit, it doesn't spill all over the cockpit. So as I was saying, from sailing vessel, no worries, in the middle of the Atlantic, in an exciting middle of the night with Sirius right in front of us. We wish you good night. Stay safe, stay well. Bye bye.